That was brilliant. I was so close. I just watched that back again. What I did. Nice. Train of consciousness. It's really hard. I was right at the end. So I'll just do a recap. Mathematics, digital, means that you're using integers, numbers. If you're using two numbers, there is always a space between those two numbers. There is a tension between them in which the potential for an additional integer exists. This is mathematically proven by Paul. And so that the mechanical model is now revealed in the tension between these integers. Yeah, you forget the mathematics now. You've reached the limit of mathematics. This is digital. You've moved into the power of imagination, concept, pure concept. And you just imagine in the pi tensor as I'm describing it. And where I was, and I just dropped, was about the fixed point and the references. So take the one in the dilation in time. So Earth center, gobstopper model, gobstopper layers, infinitely thin, single-sided, Shirley's surface, all the way from here, cosmic microwave background, infinite layers. Each surface has a twist point, hole, north pole, yeah, and that aligns so that the single-sided surface has a twist in it and repeats, twists, repeats, building that model, gobstopper model. Now there's rotation at the center. Observationally, there is rotation in the system. So we place that rotation at the center, and we see, just name it as rotation at the center of this model. What happens is you're getting the surfaces slide over each other. Yeah. At the initial phase, if you like, of creation, you can say the surfaces just slide over each other. At the point, and then it causes, it gets smaller on the outside. So you've limited expansion by the rotation. So if you have an expansive system that's rotating in the center, you've limited the expansive capacity. Slowing, viscosity has been introduced into the system. Yes, if you have viscosity of expansion, you're going to get dilatancy of slip and grip because you've got the rotation at the center. Do you see? And we're taking observation of rotation just as our anchor at the moment. Okay, and so it goes slip and grip, slip and grip. So if you can imagine you had two hemispheres, I haven't got my ball, never mind. A sphere, and you're twisting top and bottom, and you're trying to twist them. Initially, it twists easily, and then as you get harder and harder, you're forcing it. As you get right to the end, you're suddenly jump, jump, jump. You can, it's no longer sliding smoothly; it's juddering as you jump, 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 jump like that. That's dilatancy, and that's the effect. This is what Reynolds is describing in all his work, 1903 submechanics, and specifically, it's about how surfaces behave and what these surfaces are. Go back to the center now, where the rotation is, and you can see you're just replacing the fixed frame now, so that the rotation is caused by this dilatancy slip and grip effect. What you're doing is you're compressing the center dot point. Yeah, if you've got an expansive system into which you've introduced viscosity, which has rotation observationally at the center, introducing dilatancy effects between the surfaces, you're going to have compaction at the center. How does that work? Well, imagine a sphere at the center. So you've got the surfaces are created from rigid bodies. This is we live in an elastic body world, but at limit, it's rigid body piling. Yeah, 6-group piling, and just see these sphere grains of force which create water. So those force grains at the center of a molecule of water, it creates water. It turns the surface inside out, which is why water is all so magical. Its surface it's upside down. In our world, because of this compaction, it's the first thing that compacts. It's dilatancy, it's the auxitic effect I'm about to describe to you. Black hole density at the center of the universe, the center of the rotation. You have a sphere there at the center, time particle, I called it. Right? Now, I'm going to try to compact that, and I'm going to top and bottom. It's going to compact north and south because of the dilatancy. The rotation has a pole. The rotation is relative to something. And so it's relative to the pole. The pole is the weakness, right? So I've got a sphere, straight line support, scaffold pole center, and I'm going to push that straight line, push it top and bottom, so to clamp it together. It's going to try to compact, right? It's going to try to ellipsoid the sphere. It's going to try to force a sphere, perfect geometrical sphere, with an inside and an outside surface into an ellipsoid, and it can't. And so it immediately collapses to a disc. So I'm going to go through the motion now. I've got my sphere. There's a slip. The sphere exists as it's slipping. That's rotation. Rotation recognizes rotation. It's happy. It can sit there as a sphere. The grip comes, there's a clamping motion, the clamping affects top and bottom, and it turns into a disc. That disc is limited by the circumference, right? So we have sphere to disc immediately in terms of the clamping action. The mapping is surface area, sphere to disc, and amazingly, that if the sphere has a circumference of c meters per second, the disc has 2c meters. A real dimension is created because the second remains at the center as the sphere. Both states exist. This is superposition. So the sphere and disc both exist in the same moment, but they are causal within that moment, instant of whip and then slip, where the Newton meter second squared and the measure of Planck's constant h, measured in real seconds duration, the energy second, the action is measured. And so we've got a model now, right, of the creation of density point center of a system of dilatancy of spheres. And there is an effect of that pumping in that tiny duration of h in time of mass cycle tries to follow it, so that the planet breathes and vibrates, right? So it vibrates at h, that's its breath, but it can't catch its breath. That is like a panicked breath, like that, right? So what it has to do is slow it down through elastic bodies until it comes to a breath like this. Yeah, and that's you breathing. So that's your job, your breath. You're a transformer for the breath, the buzz of Planck's constant. Your elastic body, your plenum, has been translated through twists into a living, breathing kinesin that is now consciously aware, because it's aware of the disc. So when you bring ourselves back to the mass state cycle, you can see the Earth goes through these seed disc states. And the geological record is proving that, and evolution occurs. That disc, when it's a disc, there's evolution. When it's a sphere, there is hibernation. So we're in current hibernation. And so we're going to go to disc, where the firmament above us exactly as described in the Bible. And so when you bring yourself to full awareness, you can see that the buzz of Planck's constant, the pi tensor, or the sphere and the disc, the relationship between the two, how they map together, it has two fixed points. One, in the mass cycle, is the North Pole dot point, where the sphere unfurls about on the lily pad. So the sphere is under the water, the lily pad opens on the surface of the water, the Reynolds grain, forces itself into a surface, wedges into those surfaces, you see. So how it's all created now. The Reynolds surfaces, the dilation, at certain zones, there is real power of twists of slip and grip. Here, there's a free bearing that's created, fluid bearing of the atmosphere. And so the rotation that we see now, we can place it centrally with the Earth here, as the nuclear cannon and Professor Lazarev's work, fantastic work proving the Earth's the center of the universe, inside a free bearing. And so the free bearing of the atmosphere now in our spherical world on which we live, spherical planet now, seed, it's going to go to disk with the firmament, yeah? And the disk will then sit on the surface, and the universe will rotate around us. And we'll just sit flat, totally still on the surface of the Reynolds surface. And that surface exists at the cosmic microwave background. So the Earth, the mass disk will be relative to the cosmic microwave background as it closes topologically flat at the disk state at the center of the planet. So that pressure, when you press down in the center, the sphere, and it turns to a disk, that closes the cosmic microwave background spherical sphere around us, the massive one. It thinks it's topologically flat, closes the moment, and so the moment repeats. Yeah? So there's a recursive cycle between the tiny windows, hexagonal D6 windows that were discovered recently by John Bloke, who was talking about them, revealed them to us. Those windows billow in and out, yeah, and become, when you look at from the top, flower life, but they billow in and out, so you get this amazing effect of closing at topologically flat, experienced at the center of the planet. That has an effect here in the free bearing, where life and experience has a moment. We go through a full transform as we breathe, and the energy of experience that lands on our superior, on our concha, land it on the superior concha, I advise, and bring your mucus experience, love that experience, bring it to your experience, and you'll find your heart will sing. And finally, you realize what it is to be alive at the center of the universe, in our own atmosphere. And by so knowing this information, by choosing love and by turning your face back to God, realizing that God exists and he existed all the time and this is all a game, what he's doing is he's fucking proving to you that you can't do without God. You live in a world without God. It's shit. Yeah, it's just shit. And so this is the joke. Just now go, oh, okay, God, we're sorry. Yeah, time is eternal, and therefore the moments of forgiveness are always ahead of us. We are Lucifer. We are the fallen angel. We are Lucifer. But we choose. Lucifer has an advantage on us. He knows God exists. He knows God exists because he knows that God created him. He knows he's envious of God. So God exists. And Lucifer knows it. By choosing to return back to the Father, the prodigal son returns to the garden and we are welcomed. But there's a price. Sexual behavior is controlled by God. He tells us how to sexually behave and we fucking listen. That's it. That's what the joy of Reynolds B. Enge, right? This is what I found in this work. This is what I'm bringing to humanity, I believe. Me, this humble man, right? I'm just a man, just a bloke. Stumbled across a piece of information and solved the biggest mystery of all time. Revealed the Da Vinci Code. Solved the Da Vinci Code, end of last year. Right? And now I put it on the table for humankind, and I'm just nobody. Please, just leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, take the information and use it. Yeah, because this world is going to be brilliant. It's going to be about music and fun and playing and laughter and culture and wonder. We're going to love each other. Yeah, and be kind to each other. At last, we can be empathetic because the warriors have returned the planet back to God. Yeah, that's our job. Christ is king. Come on home. There you go, pi tensor. 2 fixed points. Mass cycles about the North Pole dot point, which is expressing the dot point at the center of the planet, and the cosmic wave background has a third position here in the atmosphere where we experience our consciousness of that breathing of our minds. And so we get to choose the states of our minds. Currently, the light hemisphere goes around the sphere. Okay? So we see the light sphere now, this solves this beautifully, goes around the planet. Yeah, can you see it? Rotating as a hemisphere. That we emit the light. Earth emits the light. Sun emits the heat. There's a reaction between the two. It's heat and light. But we're emitting the light. That hemisphere, when you truly choose to be back God and the Earth returns back to its... Yeah, the hemisphere is above us. And it's an Euler disk. Yeah, processing. It's the processional axis that powers everything. So that all the work is being done at particle scale and we get to rest. Rest time. Welcome home. Welcome to the future. Write to the Institution of Civil Engineers, why don't you? See if you can encourage them to get on with it. They're holding back the future. Play it out.